It was announced that Marvel is putting Blade on the back burner, aka they're not at this time moving forward with that movie.
Yep.
And so you've heard me from time to time, if you listen to the show for a while, kind of bitch and moan about Marvel's Phase 4, and I feel like maybe Phase 4 was a bust.
Hmm.
And I want to pose that question to people. Was Phase 4 a bust? I'm not saying everything, all the properties that came out. I don't think they all sucked, but we're used to a certain level with Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like their batting average, for the most part, and the slugging percent, all that is really fucking high. And they
Mm-hmm.
may have touched the sun with Infinity War and Endgame. And, getting, that's the bar, right? So, like, they either have to, at the very least, maintain that same level,
Mm-hmm.
or they have to exceed it. And even if they dip below it, it's okay as long as we're sort of moving forward, right? And I feel like this entire phase has just done nothing but spin its wheels. You've given us, WandaVision, Doctor Strange, and I guess Thor, or not even Thor. You could have just given us
Loki.
WandaVision, Loki, and Doctor Strange, and that's it. And we'd be in the same place. We wouldn't be any, further along, but we've got all this stuff. I feel like Marvel just like, okay, boom. We're launching. They're just throwing everything. We're announcing this. We're announcing that. We're announcing this. Boom, 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 boom. We've got all this stuff, and I just, I think part of it maybe was the pandemic, but I just feel like Phase 4, I could leave it, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
Like when I go back, like I'm gonna rewatch a lot of the stuff from Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. There's a
Hmm.
lot of great stuff in there because it was all moving forward. It was all propelling forward, and the culmination that we got with Infinity War and Endgame. Like so far, Phase 4, I don't think I would go back and rewatch anything from Phase 4. To be honest with you, maybe Hawkeye. Hawkeye was fun. Like I
Hmm.
enjoyed Hawkeye, and I probably maybe enjoyed it more than most. That was just a fun show to watch. I thought Moon Knight. I enjoyed it probably more than most, but it didn't advance anything. It just told a story, which is fine. I think I came to this conclusion. I'm separating the TV stuff out from the cinematic stuff because,
Hmm.
for all intents and purposes, except for WandaVision, Loki, there's no real impact on what's going. So like Loki gave us the Watcher, all right, and gave us or not what the Watcher gave us
Kang.
Kang, right?
Yep.
And okay, but then we haven't got anything else. You know what
No,
I
we
mean?
have not. I
We
agree.
haven't gotten anything with Kang in the end credit scenes or any teases in any other movies. So it's like, okay, that's great. Right. At
Hmm.
least with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, even though they were introducing new characters, they always gave us little breadcrumbs along the way. So, to me, phase 4, huge bust. I'm very much looking forward to phase 5 because I think there's potential there. But with this Blade news, man, like, figure out your fucking deal. Because you're starting to look an awful lot like DC,
I'll
and you
tell
don't
you
want
what.
that.
In DC, it looks like The Rock might be the savior of DC too, with that Superman development that's going on there, because it sounds like he had a hand in trying to get Cavill back in some capacity. At least, like he said, like
Yeah,
I listened to the people and everything. My big thing is with Marvel, because I somewhat agree, but also don't. So I guess in the end, I would say no, it's not a bust, but I would say that I would definitely say on the side of disappointment, because as much as I'm happy with Marvel Phase 4, I think they went and made a dramatic shift and kind of tried to step things back in some ways and go towards like a Phase 1 kind of approach where you're more establishing characters and everything that end, and not looking at the larger picture quite as much. They have, but not quite as much. You go from everything's about the larger picture, and then it's like, now we're going to go back completely. I like I liked a lot of the stories that we got, but when you look at that component of it and what you were and why you became so big, and you kind of just like, no, we're going to move away from that by and large, that's a dangerous game. And we're seeing that now.
yeah. But even in phase 1, they were leaving breadcrumbs for the Avengers and the Infinity Stones. Like maybe not so much in Iron Man, right? But then once Iron Man became a hit, like even though they're introducing all these,
They
we're getting
are,
these
but they
origin
did, but
stories.
they did. But
You,
Joe, look at what's going. Like the stuff they're trying to do now is like really heady stuff. So
yeah, but they've done it already. They should know. You know
no,
what I
I,
mean?
I I agree. But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised if we look back on it and say, "Oh, that's why this happened," and "Oh, that's why that happened" later on. I think they've like maybe you can argue that they failed in that capacity, but I just think in general they're like if they had taken the approach of let's just stick to our bread and butter and try and mix in some just like a Hawkeye and a Moon Knight later on, or in a She Hulk and just do those few things right there, and then or Miss Marvel, whatever, and then stick to our formula that we've developed, then I think you'd probably be in having a different conversation with me right now about the MCU.
Well, maybe, but I also think that Marvel's at a point where
That's
they
what it
were
comes
how
down to.
many right? They were how many movies already in before this phase started, right? So they know the blueprint for success. They know, right?
Exactly.
They shouldn't be going, okay, we're just gonna reset now, and we gotta, like I don't want to. We're too far in. I'm too far invested to be able to have to wait another 5, 6 movies and go, oh, that's why they did that. That
Mm,
okay, because again, they'll probably go back and retcon some shit. Marvel should be above that at this point. They should be a well-oiled machine, right?
yep.
Like Star Wars has this problem. They
Phew.
can't get out of their own fucking way. DC has this problem. They can't get out of their own fucking way. Marvel's starting to. I feel like, oh shit, maybe Marvel can't get out of their own fucking way now.
I think here's a hot take, and it just hit me now, and maybe this is the Woodford Reserve hitting me right now. But I think that we're gonna look back on Phase Four, and I think that I think it's a fair take that the rewatchability of these movies maybe it's not gonna be the same for most people. I think that's a very fair take, but I think we're gonna look back on it and from like a larger view perspective and say this phase was actually really important for the MCU because now they've gone and created all these little stories and characters, not just focused on the larger picture. I think by having that more, we're going to see more interesting stories that don't have to do with the larger picture. And while hey, maybe you don't want to devote time for that, it's going to be a fun little aside that we're going to have in addition to the larger thing, much like with comics. So I think that's something that will
Well, you know how I
years later.
feel. With the events, I don't want the side shit. I want the.
I'm not saying
Right.
that. I'm
I
saying
know.
you're going to have a main line for a Moon Knight, and then you're also going to have the stuff going on with
Well, what I'm
the main
talking about,
event.
yeah, I think we're talking about two different things here. But
Oh,
regardless, I just think that like for me personally, like I've already said this a number of times, like because we had the highest of expectations for Doctor Strange and it let us down. We had the highest of
yeah.
expectations for Spider-Man that let us down. I had even higher expectations for Thor Ragnarok and that let me down. That was the point where I go, "Uh-oh, Marvel might have a getting out of its own way problem."
Wait, did you say Spider-Man let you down?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I enjoyed Spider-Man was Spider-Man was a fun movie, but again, it didn't give us anything. Like you could take Spider-Man away and we could just have Doctor Strange and we'd be in the same place.
I mean,
Right?
that's fair, but I
I
mean,
had very high expectations for those 3 movies,
hmm,
and, like, Spider-Man out of all those movies had the biggest, like, wow factor
hmm.
because of what we got, right? But storytelling-wise, like, we're no farther, we're no, deeper. Loki did more to advance the MCU than Spider-Man did, right?
Loki probably when you look back on it, it's probably Loki that did the most to advance the MCU.
So that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, it's
No, I
been my whole
understand that, but
thing.
that's where like, and this is where again, and this is a conversation to have with Wes on changed my mind a lot. Like, we want different things sometimes when it comes to this, like I versus you, or like me
Right,
versus Wes. Like,
right.
I want a good contained story. I don't necessarily always just want the larger view, but at the same time, I recognize that I'm in the minority when it comes to that because I look at Spider Man and I'm like, this is one of the best comic book movies that we've gotten ever. Period. I still feel that way.
Yeah, no. So for me, I mean, it's still Infinity War Endgame, and then, but
Well, not. I mean, I'm not talking that. Logan's your number one, and I understand that.
Logan is my number one. But that's where we're getting off the rails here, but
Just a little bit, yes. But
just a
the
little
one
bit.
thing
But
with the Blade stuff that I want to say, The director was taken off the project. It looks like 2 weeks after we got this, or 2 weeks prior to us getting this news. So
Yep.
that's the other thing. I mean, it's just like the director stuff, but that's where again, like, why is that happening? I'm not stunned that we're getting this pause, but it's just what's going on with directors because we had this happen with Doctor Strange as well too. So
Yep.
that's all.
And then yeah, but and so anyway, so I'm starting to worry. I'm starting to wonder: is Marvel, is starting to go down that route of okay, they're too big and they're trying to do too much, or they're just starting to stumble at the fucking goal line like some of these other companies are.
Melvin Gordon over here.